On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country, to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. A Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. Plan ahead and be prepared. Travel and camp on durable surfaces. Pack it in, pack it out. Leave what you find. Minimize campfire impact, and be respectful of other visitors. What is up, friends and RC family? My name is Alec from High Noon Hobbies, and if you're new to this channel, I very much appreciate you checking it out. I don't know how you got here, but I hope that you will stick around. Watch at least this video, see if this content seems worth your while, and consider subscribing so that then I can say to you, if you aren't new here, welcome back to yet another relaxed Sunday upload. This time we're taking a look at the first part of my run through the 801 RCC comp down in the San Rafael swell, and we're going to be talking about an issue that, well, you can see part of right here. This was an absolutely beautiful area. I love the San Rafael swell. It's one of my favorite places in the world. I've spent a lot of time here exploring such beautiful places. I mean, seriously, you can get some picturesque views in this area that look like they should belong in National Geographic. And, well, I am incredibly grateful that we have an area like this and so many areas like this in Utah, in our state, that we get to enjoy and explore. And yes, I did actually do that Scout oath from memory. I was in Scouts a long time ago, and I learned that oath, and that's exactly how we recited it at the end of every single Scout meeting that I was in through my entire, teenage life, basically. And I grew to really care about those principles. And it's not like it defined who I was necessarily, but it's something that I still remember to this day, that I still think about, and that I still try to use as, a light guiding principle for me, because I think all of those are good things. I think that the different traits, the different aspects of a Scout that we list off are aspects that I would hope anyone would strive to have, traits that I would hope anyone would strive to have. And it's not necessarily part of the Scout oath, but that last part that I recited, that was kind of something that our troop added on to the end of the oath. And it's a combination of different principles that are held within Scouting, but don't always get repeated all the time. And I'm really glad we repeated them all the time. Plan ahead and be prepared is basically what some of my first videos on this channel were about. How do you prepare for an RC comp? How do you prepare if you're going to spend the night before an RC comp? What should you be thinking about? And how can you make sure to maximize your potential for success? Travel and camp on durable surfaces, that's really about minimizing the impact that you have on the environment. We see, especially in all these off-road areas, or a lot of these off-road areas, we see people taking trails that aren't trails, trailblazing, if you will, which is great in some areas. Sand Hollow is one of those places in Utah where it's totally free range, and you can go wherever you like, and it doesn't really matter. You can blaze your own trail, and that's what it's for. But there are a lot of areas in Utah that aren't that way, but I still see new trails being made all the time by people who are not being as considerate of other travelers, other people that are using that area, as they probably should be. Pack it in, pack it out. That's, we're seeing more and more in these areas that we're using for RC crawling competitions, a bunch of trash, broken glass, bottles that are shattered and can hurt someone, sharp pieces of tin or cans, stuff like that. All sorts of different things that are just not not safe, and it's not fun to be around. And if you are in a beautiful area like this, the last thing that you want is to be, stepping on broken glass or trying to avoid piles of poop that people have left because they don't know how to deal with their waste, so they just shit and then put a rock on top of it. These types of things are so sad. Leave what you find. These areas have been around for a long, long time, and it's not really our place to go and start taking artifacts from this area, whether it be, I get the idea of grabbing a small rock here or there. I get that, but there's always the phrase that comes into my mind that people who love the Grand Canyon say all the time, which is, if everyone who went down the Grand Canyon took a handful of rocks, we'd be in big trouble. And I don't know that that's necessarily true, but I do know that I would really like people for generations to come to be able to enjoy these places. And I know that if I disturb it and start taking a bunch of stuff that isn't mine, or a bunch of stuff that is maybe integral to the environment, that's a problem, and that's going to cause bigger problems for future generations. Minimize campfire impact. That one's pretty straightforward, although I see a lot of people break this one, actually. You really don't always need a massive bonfire everywhere you go camping. Now, sure, there's a time and a place for it. There's definitely lots of campfires that I've been around that were absolutely obnoxiously large, and it's really fun. But if you don't have the setup for it, if you don't have the right area, you could be putting yourself and others and nature at risk, and it's really not worth it. On top of that, I see all the time in places like these where it's primitive camping, so really you can camp wherever you like, but that there's some stipulations there, so don't take that with a grain of salt, please. But a lot of these primitive camping sites, I see people build fire pits everywhere. Someone built a fire pit, and then someone built a fire pit 6 feet away from that fire pit. Guys, we don't need to do this. We can look out for each other, and we can look out for ourselves at the same time. If you take a minute to assess your campsite when you get there, check it out, see maybe how do you want to set up your campsite so that you can enjoy the campfire ring that's already there, and then you don't have to make a new one, and you minimize your impact on that area. And be respectful of other visitors. This kind of encompasses all of these other principles. If you are doing all of these other things, if you are traveling and camping on durable surfaces, if you're packing it in and packing it out, if you're leaving what you find and you're minimizing your campfire impact, in a way, with all of that, you're already being respectful of other visitors. And I'm one to enjoy loud music and screaming and partying and having a good time, so I don't really think that that's necessarily what that means. I think I probably would equate it more to having a generator running at like 1 a.m. That's a pretty asshole move. But, you probably don't want to have music running at 1 a.m. either, or at least not blasting. If you're still up and you're enjoying music and there's campers around you, just make sure that you are playing it at a level in which you would want someone else to play their music at if they were playing their music and you were trying to go to bed. Guys, all of this is common sense stuff, and all of this is not being applied when we go out and enjoy these beautiful natural places. It makes me really sad to see even the degradation of these areas in the time that I have been enjoying these areas. I'm fairly young, so if this much damage can be done in this small a period of time in comparison to the grand scheme of things, imagine what's going to happen in 100 years, 150, 200, 250 years. What are these areas that we're enjoying right now going to look like to our great-grandkids? Are they going to remember us as the people who preserved these areas and remembered that we wanted them to be beautiful for our grandkids? Or are we going to be remembered as the people who destroyed these areas, selfishly used them just for ourselves, and didn't leave anything to spare for anyone in the future? I don't really have a whole lot more to say in this video, but I do want to make a point that, guys, it's really important that we care for our environment, that we care for these places that we love, and that we take care of them. Caring for them and taking care of them, still two separate things. I've seen a lot of people that claim to care about certain areas, claim to care about keeping areas clean and keeping areas open, particularly keeping areas open. A lot of people claim to care about keeping areas open, but not many people actually take the care to keep those areas open. Keeping OHV areas, keeping primitive campsites, keeping all of this accessible wilderness accessible to all of us takes an effort, a concerted effort from all of us. If we don't take care of these areas, they will be taken away from us. Maybe they'll be taken away from us by the government. Maybe they'll be taken away from us purely by degradation. And either one of those options doesn't sound very good to me. So I hope that that little message reminds you guys, and I know a lot of you guys are great about this. I know a ton of people that care so much about the environment, especially since I started RCing. I've seen so many people that care so much and that put so much effort into keeping these areas, as pristine as we possibly can. And I know we might get some flack being that we're RC crawlers, and even sometimes RC crawlers can cause a little bit of mayhem and can degrade the environment that we're in. But I think it's all about keeping that in the front of your mind and trying your very best not to disturb these areas in a way that would negatively impact them in the long run. If you see a giant hill made out of cryptobiotic soil, and if you don't know what that is, I definitely recommend you look it up, especially if you're in areas like this, if you're in areas like Sand Hollow, anywhere in southern Utah, even in other states. Cryptobiotic soil is really important. If you see a giant hill of it, maybe don't gun it straight at that hill and tear all of that stuff up, right? It's the same principle as if we were just hiking. You don't hike all over the place. You don't hike all over the bushes and all over the nature. You don't hike on the wildflowers. You hike on the trail. And on most of these places that we're going with RC trucks, we're going in a place with a defined trail. So stay to the trail. I get that it's fun to go off the trail and to pave a new path, but remember that 1 10-second little moment of enjoyment that you got out of blazing a new trail just impacted people for longer than your lifetime. So does that really seem fair to you? Does that seem like something that you would want others to do if you were a future generation? Do you feel like you would feel you were fairly impacted if that was the case? I don't think that I would feel that way. So that's basically all I've got, guys. This is actually a pretty fun series of lines here that I recorded, and as you can see, we've got a very diverse group of crawlers with us here today. We've got Cameron, who is unstereotypically out of the normal. He is in his RC crawler camper rig, which you just saw pass by, which is kind of a fun one to watch do some nasty lines. A bit top heavy, but not as top heavy as you'd think. I'd love to do some more highlight videos of that truck soon, because that thing is really just spectacularly fun to watch go down the trail. This truck here is Taylor's truck. This is a fantastic paint job. This is actually one of his first attempts at a custom paint job like that, and I thought it came out killer. The Joker rig, the Joker color theme, everything about it, the ha 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 etched into the side in white. I really, really like that rig, Taylor. I thought that you did a great job. So super, super cool. We've got Mike in his comp rig up ahead of me, which I think you guys may have seen in the past. I kind of want to call it Millie Time because it's got a Millie Time sticker on it. And if you guys are from the Salt Lake City or the Utah area and you are into at all skiing or snowboarding, you probably know what Millie Time means. It's a reference to pretty popular resort with the locals here called Brighton, and so yeah, I don't know, it seems respectful to call that truck Millie Time. It seems like it's earned that name because Mike is pretty involved in Brighton, and so it seems pretty fitting. But yeah, this area is full of super, super cool lines. Everything from crazy ledgy stuff up on these kind of mushroom rocks to really intricate and technical crawling through boulder fields like this, which I gotta say, again, Cameron's truck is just absolutely killing it through all of this stuff. But this area was amazing. These lines were super fun. I gotta thank Mike and Zinger from 801 RCC for putting this comp together. These comps are always a blast. This one in particular, although sometimes the camera has to take a hit. But, there's this particular event, there weren't necessarily as many people as there normally are, and I think a large reason for that is how far away this area is from Salt Lake. This is about 3 hours or so away from the Salt Lake Valley region, so it is a bit of a drive for, more casual RC guys, but that made it kind of even more fun in a way where I felt like most of, if not all of the crowd that was out here for this event was really into this 200 gate comp style, or 200 gate, kind of more social enjoyment style event. So it ended up making it really fun. I got to meet quite a few new people that I thought were really cool. So you probably know who you are. I appreciate meeting you. I thought that you were awesome, and I hope to see you on the trails again. But we're getting close here to the 100th gate where we cut out for our little rest stop, and then you guys know what happened after that. So it's basically all the commentary that I've got for you guys today. I hope that even, if you hate what I'm saying, you think that I'm just being super preachy, I hope that you'll consider this for just a second and think about the impact that we're having on these areas and how we might be able to have a more positive impact in the future.